Take your stinking paws off me, you damn dirty ape!
We're going streaking!
Dave's Video Graveyard.
That guy in a little coat. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought.
I'm not a smart man.
Shut up!
One tubby.
What's wrong with him?
My first thought would be alive.
Why so serious?
Wise man say forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for late pizza.
Hail to the king, baby.
Hey, Ma! The meatloaf! We want it now! The meatloaf!
Of all the radio shows in the world, this is definitely one of them. Dave's Video Graveyard on 100.5 WOWFM.
Okay, you people sit tight, hold the fort, and keep the home fires burning if we're not back by dawn.
It is 100.5 WOW FM, Dave's Video Graveyard for your Monday night. Massive thanks going out to Greenie taking us through Rev Heads tonight. Paulie, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, man. How about yourself?
I was fantastic until I couldn't cop the Big D on the weekend. And for those who don't know what that means,
You've never had any trouble before.
If only you knew how to do audio editing, you would steal that clip. I'm sure of it. The new streaming service, I said goodbye in our family to the Blue streaming service and unsubscribed under the promise of the new streaming service, the Big D. And unfortunately, it turns out my television is not compatible with that service. So I'm looking for some mice to fight, essentially, because he's not caring for me. He just doesn't want me.
I'm sure you'll catch the Big D sometimes, though.
I hope so. You have to teach me your ways.
Did you... I haven't watched it yet, but did you catch The Irishman?
I did. I watched it over 2 nights because apparently Scorsese forgot how to tell a cohesive story in under 3.5 hours.
How long is it?
3.5 hours.
So it's 3.5
3 hours and 27 minutes, I believe it was, when the credits were approaching. I thought my biggest issue would be the de-aging, but it kind of is because Robert De Niro has been de-aged quite well, much like they've been doing in the Marvel films.
Yeah.
However, physically, De Niro has lost his neck in time because he's much older and he's basically shrugging all the time. When they de-age, there's no fixing that because there's no negative space to put back.
Right.
And so even when he's about 20 years, 30 years younger, he still looks like he did in that Anne Hathaway movie, The Intern. You know, the movie we talk about every week. Robert De Niro.
I'm just like, there was such a blip on my radar. Like The Intern.
Now, the reason for this evening, it is once again a guest choice special, and we have a very interesting guest this week. We are joined by competitive pole dancer as well as the SA chairperson of the Australian Screen Editors. We are joined by Vendetta. How are you?
I'm pretty good, thank you. Except for my cold.
Oh,
But,
well, we will do our best to nurture you through this 2 hours where we pretty much talk about all your favourite films. And you've showed what a diva you are already because you refused to pick 10 films and you basically gave us a general overview of what you enjoy at the moment.
At the second, but then after I finished writing the list, I pretty much had a few more. And then on the weekend, I went and saw a film, and I was like, well, I mean, it was good like a week ago, but...
What did you go see on the weekend?
I saw Dr. Sleep.
Was it good?
The Shining sequel. It was amazing. But, of course, it's a completely different era. You have to see The Shining first before you see this film, because otherwise it won't make any sense.
Yeah, I've heard that, like, it's one of the best films of the year, but it didn't make a lot of money, so it might be... They're worried it's going to be forgotten. I really want to get to go see it. So
I hope it's not. I was really impressed that it was a sequel that did well and held true to its origins, but also brought some really new and cool, interesting stuff, and kept the story exciting for the full.
I heard the Overlook looks exactly the same.
It is very similar.
Yeah,
but I like that. I like that they didn't try and do something completely.
Being a
diehard fan of a classic, you don't want it to be uber different. I don't want to be uber different.
But
Just a
it's-
nice amount of different.
Was that on your list tonight?
That wasn't. But I
so
watched
it's like
it
honorable
yesterday.
mention, yeah.
It's an honorable mention from my evolving list.
Well, funny you should bring up Dr. Sleep, because I actually, in the last 72 hours, have cried to something with Henry Thomas in it. Henry Thomas, of course, in Dr. Sleep.
Honey.
I had a big cry, and I don't know why, and I believe Paul did too, over a commercial. For the first time in my life, I was basically Harry from Dumb and Dumber, where he's sitting in the hotel room watching the insurance ad crying. Because there was an ad released on the weekend. I won't say what it's for, but it's essentially E.T. returns to Elliot, and grown-up Elliot introduces his kids to E.T. And I think it's the John Williams music that did it. My wife and I sat in her car watching it on the phone going, why are we both trying not to cry?
Just the trailer.
And no, it's just
an
a
ad.
6-minute ad.
That just happens to have E.T.
I'm waiting for the follow-up that has Alf the alien in it. That would be such a good ad campaign.
I miss Alf.
Now, you have basically a duality of your personality. You are heavily into screen editing and filmmaking, as well as competitive pole dancing.
Yes. And non-competitive pole dancing, because I'm not always fit enough to do it competitively.
Hey, you can beat someone in the audience at any given time, I'm sure.
Yeah. But pole dancing, I also beat them, not just with a stick.
Nice.
I try to be slightly.
Sweet. So, take it away. Either of the facets. What got you into pole dancing?
Pole dancing? Cool. So I always wanted to try it, but I didn't want to go alone, just because, I'm a girl and I don't like trying new things. And so I finally convinced one of my other friends who was working at a strip club at the time to come with me, because she was like, oh, I don't actually know what I'm doing. I'll come and do classes with you. I was like, yeah. And so we booked into a 6-week term just at our local studio, and we both went the first week, and it was really hard, and I sweated. I don't go to the gym. I don't like going in sweaty places. It's weird. I don't like exercising. I don't like wearing sports bras. But this was fun because it was like dancing.
Okay.
I know, looking at me, you'll be really surprised to realise that neither do I.
Yeah, it's just...
Except the sports bras.
Wow.
I'm all about that.
That's more of a necessity.
Oh.
I can't see you, so it's less like I'm flaming you. Like,
it's the big D comment, isn't it? So yeah, so you went along and caught the bug.
Addicted immediately. My friend actually didn't end up coming from the 2-week point onwards, so we only had one class together, and I did the rest of the term by myself with all the randoms, and pole just kind of became my community. Like, as soon as you get there, you kind of I realized that these are the quirky people that I get on with. We're not, a lot of pole dancers aren't really stock standard secretaries or doctors and stuff, the kind of quirky outskirts people.
Oh, we know.
And I guess I kind of fell into that, and I was like, this really works for me. And then the other flip side of that was I also got fitter and better coordinated. I'm a dramatic person, so it kind of adds to my, I kind of work quite well, and it just kind of went from there. So I started off about 4 years ago now. I competed for my first competition 2 years in, and I came third. I competed the next year and came first. And then since then I've done Miss Pole. I haven't won Miss Pole yet, but I got Miss Entertainer.
Yet being the keyword.
Yet being the keyword, but also all I wanted is Miss Entertainer. I'm not, you say I'm a competitive pole dancer, but I'm actually the least competitive person in the world. So I compete to perform. And
I think I'm less competitive, but I'll let you say that you are, because I don't want to compete.
Well, there you go. I'm not even going to engage with it. So that's the thing. But yeah, I only ever get on stage to perform, and then if I happen to take away a sash, that's nice. But if I don't, that's fine too.
And one thing I have noticed, because
it's like your polar opposite.
we are destined to be
he
enemies.
Would steal the sash off someone else if he didn't win the sash.
Oh, I'm not competitive.
Funnily enough, I don't know why, but I do spend a lot of time looking at competitive pole dancing photos on Instagram. I think I'm just interested in sport in general. That's what it must be.
Sport.
Your face.
Half-naked lady sport.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what it is about it. I just love sports. I'm a sports guy. This is a sports show now.
Say sport one more time.
It's called sports ball, yeah? That's what it is. Your face is it conveys how much fun you're having at the time. And you see so many, like, so concentrating on the trick they're doing, not taking any away from the tricks you're doing. But you're just like, this is the most fun ever.
Woo! Yeah, that's pretty much it. And I know as well, lots of people compete or dance for different reasons. I dance to have fun. I dance to just, it sounds bad, but I hate it when, like, they read out the blurbs and like, oh, Sophia has come on a journey of recovery from her injury, and now she's come so far. And I'm like, okay, cool.
We've actually booked Sophia for next week. It's awfully awkward.
Her recovery has actually gone quite well. I don't know if you've heard about it, but it's been a journey. But my blurbs are always like, yeah, Vendetta's here, and she hopes you get wet. Woo!
Vendetta's here for shits and giggles.
And that's all I want. I just want the audience to have a good time, and I don't really care. It also sounds bad. Like, I don't really care if my technique is 1,000% or my toes are perfectly pointed. I want to look up and see you guys, like, screaming because you're having fun with me.
You should really load the bets and have your blurb just say, winnings for losers.
Maybe I will next time.
Because regardless of how it goes, you've either upset the winner or you've won.
Well, yeah. I won't win. It's okay.
Now, taking a look at the other part of your online presence that I stalked / looked into, your IMDb. You have had a very interesting time in filmmaking.
I have done quite a few things. I got to try and remember what's on my IMDb, so hopefully I say the right things.
You directed a film that's up on YouTube.
Oh.
I believe.
Is it an animated film or is it?
No, it's a live action. I did click on the link and it started playing. It was
it like
a girl sitting in bed in like a period dress?
That's on the internet.
That's on the tube.
I should really get rid of that. That was my honours film. So that was Hazelwood, and it is essentially my take on Hansel and Gretel. But
cool.
So when I went to university, I started a screen and media, a Bachelor of Screen course.
Yep.
And in your final year, in your honours year, you have to write and direct a short film. When I did it. And I said, well, I don't want to write and direct. I'm an editor. I want to edit. I've spent the last 3 years falling in love with editing and editing everything I can get my hands on. Can I just edit other people's stuff? And they're like, no, you have to write and direct something. And I was like, I don't want to. So what I ended up doing is I actually wrote down all the edits that I wanted. So I wanted like a bunch of like transition edits, like where you can't like match edits essentially. And so I wrote out like 4 of these match edits, and then I wrote the story around that. And I was like, how can I make this
work?
That
is cheating.
You wrote a song with the lyrics first, basically. I'm going to fit us around.
This is going to work better. Because I didn't really mind if the story didn't go well, or if the, wasn't miscaptured anything. I wanted to test out if this editing worked.
It was a student film. It's not going to be, the story has to be weird and avant-garde. Otherwise it's not going to
Exactly. The weirder the better.
From everything I've ever seen.
Punching a piano as the soundtrack.
Yeah.
And then at the end you got to put Finn.
Yeah.
Yes. I definitely
the
got
eyeball
the girl.
slice open.
Yeah.
In our experimental film course, I didn't want to do experimental, and I was like, this is ridiculous. So I just got my friend. I was like, hey, will you like paint yourself in a bath in a field, like with some cows around?
Yeah.
She's like, yeah. And then I did it. My teacher was like, oh my gosh.
High distinction.
That is experimental. And I was like, okay, cool. I gotta go write a film now.
If you ever have to do it again, you should do basically you filming yourself with like a 2-minute delay. Ooh. And you are actually editing the film while it's being filmed over your shoulders. That's tricky. Experimental.
Yeah. Yes. I like it.
Do it.
I like it a lot.
I like to come up with ideas for other people to waste their time with. I'm not going to do it myself.
I like to edit other people's films.
Lovely.
I like to be told what to do and then do it for you, if you know what I mean.
We'll get more into it this evening, but do you have heroes that inspired you to do that kind of thing, or it's just something you gravitated towards? You're like, I want to cut up everyone else's work.
Yeah, I kind of gravitated towards that. I actually started off film school wanting to be a camera person, and then learnt really quickly, like, that's really hard. You got to learn, like, what, I don't know, ISOs and shutter speeds do, and my brain doesn't work like that. But, like, telling a Mac what to do, like what program to do, like that works in my brain, which is actually kind of the same amount of difficulty, just different.
Because as you know, pretty much the way the world looks at the film industry, it's the director that always gets glorified. Yeah. Whereas if you think about it, the edit is made or broken. Like the film is made or broken in the edit. 100%. You get to create someone else's creation, really.
That's one of the other things that really drew me to editing, is that I like the challenge of it. I like, you'll be given the script and you'll be given the footage, and sometimes those two things don't actually work together. Like, they might have not have shot everything, or they might have overshot things that they don't need.
Yeah.
And you've got to try and, like, make that work. Or maybe the director has an idea, but it's just not going to, it's not going to work. So finding the nice happy medium, or trying new things, or completely challenging what they expected and saying, let's put scene 2 at the end and scene 56 at the start. And that challenge I find really interesting.
There's heaps of stories from lots of big films where the editor has been the saving grace. Like, I know that Spielberg's reused his editor like quite a lot of times. Yeah. Kevin Smith self-edits his films and stuff. There's also ones where the editors locked the director out of the room. Like, so it's just like, you just got to let me do it. Directors can be really tricky. Yeah, no doubt.
And then there's James Cameron.
I was about to get to James Cameron.
Physically makes his feet like talons on the shoulder of the editor and just sits there the entire time.
It's so awkward when people watch you edit. It's not good.
I would be like, I would love to have the actors watching you edit, and every time they say something, you make it very clear that another minute of their scene gets cut out of the film, regardless of the quality.
Yeah.
That would be great.
I would like to be in the Star Wars one where it's just Lucas going, and a wipe. And a wipe.
Well, one of my
vertical wipe.
One of my friends in primary school had a VHS editing suite where you plugged the video camera that held videotapes into it, and you played it on the camera.
Yeah.
It went through the desk onto the TV, which you recorded on another VCR. But it had all these preset, basically faders, and they were all like star wipe or fade. And it was the most fun. Like, we made all these homemade films where it was maybe 30 seconds of footage for every 20 seconds of transitions. Because you could either do it. You could either do it slowly or like fast. It was amazing, and that's actually one thing. Funnily, you bring up, Paul, watching The Mandalorian.
Yeah,
the amount of sweeps they throw in, because they're like, George is sitting at home watching with nothing to do.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
I like that bit where it says Lucas.
Oh, should have trademarked that.
Yeah, no, that's. Do you? How much satisfaction do you get? Are you pleasing yourself, or who are you pleasing when you're working?
It really depends. Every project is different. The other thing as well is, like, what I'm actually aspiring to right now is being an assistant editor on features, which is a really different job to being an editor, where your main job is to please the editor and get that all sorted. So in that aspect, I love working with editors and learning from them and getting the project nice for them. But when it comes down to, making corporates, which I've made plenty of, and TVCs or training videos, or, kind of like the more corporate end of the things, that sometimes can be tedious if you do have a client that has no idea what they're talking about. And you often have to kind of just go, okay, yep, we're going to do your idea. I know it's not going to work, but I'm going to show you how bad it is so that you can understand it. And then you'll probably listen. So
you're going to give him enough rope to hang himself, essentially?
A little bit.
What do you do when they turn around and say, can you make it all sepia, please?
I mean, sure, go crazy. And like, sometimes they really want it, and you go, I'd have to look at it again. And it's heartbreaking, but then when you get the chance to work with a really good director and a really good film, and they really value your input and your feedback and what you want to do with it and work with you, that's really nice. And then other times I've actually had times where I've had directors or producers who actually don't want to have anything to do with it. They just want you to go off you go and make the thing. And that is almost more frustrating, because you're like, I don't know, I can't read your mind. I can make what I think is going to be right.
Yeah.
Because you're almost not getting, you're not basically getting ticks along the way saying, yes, this is good, change this.
It's really
You are giving them a completed project and going, I hope this is what you wanted.
I actually think it's really interesting, the editor-director relationship. If I ever did a PhD, I'd like to study this. It's the psychology and the language. You actually build a whole vocabulary when you're working with a director or a producer for a really long time that only you and that person understand. You understand when the director says, just bump it 3 frames from the head. That could actually be 3 frames from the tail, or 3 frames from the head, or do you mean push the shot 3 frames or cut 3 frames off? But after you work with someone a long time, I have 3 directors that I work with a lot, and they all speak to me completely differently, but I know what they mean when they say bump it or push it.
I am a massive film nerd. choice of movies aren't necessarily good, but I do obsess over them, and I'm a massive fan. There's a YouTube channel called Good Bad Flicks, and it's a lot of the horror stories behind the scenes of making movies.
Cool. I have to look it up.
I suggest the Super Mario Brothers film one, because basically the directors were pretty much fired after completing it, and the editors had all this raw footage that they had to make a film out of. And it's so amazing. And if I was in your position, my dream role would be making something that I legally made them take my name off of. That would be my striving achievement, would be much like Stephen King and many other people. I want my name off of that.
Oh, I mean, then you get the IMDb credit.
That I'll get there one day. And I did recently meet someone that's working on a local production that I might be able to be a part of. So who knows?
In what aspect, though? What role?
Doesn't matter.
Craft service.
He'll be the D-taker.
Do you need someone?
Sorry.
Do you need someone to
Once
be...
he learns how to do it properly.
Yeah.
Do you need someone to be puffed out and sweaty at all times?
That's what I do.
Hey,
Hold on, sir.
that's your role here.
I can do it everywhere.
I'm not releasing you from your contract.
I'm a method actor when it comes to that role. Awesome. So we're going to go through a very varied list this evening of choices that you came up, because you went the other way. Instead of doing the usual, we get guests that say, oh, it was so hard to narrow down just to 10. And you're like, no, here's everything ever, and we can cherry pick whatever we want from it.
Yeah. And if you don't like this list, I've got more in my brain.
That's it. I'll give you the raw live edit at the end, and you can make it a cohesive radio show. So we have a list of things that you enjoy, and we might as well start out with the series. I believe it's from the Red streaming service. Well, that's where I saw it. Yeah. It is Happy. Tell us why you picked this series.
So, Happy is amazing, essentially. I was hooked from the moment I watched it. I think you'll probably notice from my list as you go down, I quite like gore, and there's a lot of gore in Happy. And also it's really kind of I think it's really well done. I know it's like really goofy and the animation isn't like spot on or anything like that. But I like the idea and how like quirky and how dark it is with such a fun little happy character kind of buzzing around. And
it's got Stabler from Law and Order. Yeah, that's one. Yeah.
And yeah, like this, the first season I was hooked. It's like gross, it's creepy, it's gory, it's got a plot line that I hadn't really seen before. I mean, it's not super new. I mean, it's essentially Taken, but not Taken. And then the second season also was amazing. And I really like shows where like the second season is as good as the first season.
Yeah.
And that's not always like, I mean, I love Stranger Things. I'm wearing the Stranger Things hoodie right now. Love the first season. Second season was okay. Third season, I kind of went,
thank you.
Shut up, Bob.
Thank you.
Final episode of the third season made the entire season worth it.
No.
But series...
That's not how TV works.
Series shouldn't be like that.
No, exactly.
I know. I was ready to give up, and the final episode was so good that I was like, next season, could you just do a movie length?
Do that.
Stop the slow motion walks of the wispy, bad teenage mustache dude. Oh, man, I hate that guy.
So, I'm hoping that the third season of Happy will be just as good as the first two, but I'm not going to hold my breath because sequels are terrible.
I've found streaming services' third season is quite typically Glow, Stranger Things, perhaps Happy. Like, it's got a curse to get over before it gets there.
Yeah, we'll see. But I mean, it didn't try and reinvent anything new. Like, Stranger Things, they have a new kind of monster every season, and so there's a big expectation they're going to create this new world and everything, whereas Happy is just like, well, this is what you get. This time there's going to be more gimp people and a weird, flubby thing. Some flubby things.
That Patton Oswalt does a voice for it. It's amazing.
Wow. I haven't checked it out, but you've sold it to me. Like, these are all elements, and it's also, I quite often like with Netflix when they course correct their advertising, because I remember when Happy first came out and the images they used, there was some that were just the unicorn.
Yeah.
And I was like, is this a kid's show? And then there was other ones, and then there was ones that were like super gritty, and you could tell that like, this is what it is. Yeah, no, that's first time that's ever come up on the show. much like your next choice, Killing Eve.
Oh, honey, have you
Love Killing Eve.
Yeah? Have you seen it?
No, sorry.
Oh my gosh, you say you have a movie show and you haven't seen Happy or Killing Eve.
I'm more the TV guy than
he's the TV guy,
yeah.
and I'm the rewatch Demolition Man all the time for no reason guy. So if you ever want to talk about Demolition Man, come on back.
But Killing Eve.
Killing Eve. No, well, yeah, as I was writing my list, I realized I actually have been just watching a lot of series lately.
Yep.
For some reason, I don't feel exhausted putting on like 7 episodes or something. But the idea of watching a 2-hour movie, I'm like, oh.
Yeah.
But I love watching movies as well. Killing Eve, do you want to run down? Or?
Yeah, do it.
So Killing Eve is on
ABC.
the Squiggle one.
No, that Community too.
We haven't got
fine.
that one. Yeah, that's Community. Yeah, that's fine.
Thank you. And it is, I think it was probably on the different one, but then anyway,
It
it's
stars
about,
Alice Secretary.
yeah,
It does.
yeah, it's got some interesting people in it that you wouldn't expect to be in something like this. And essentially, yeah, it's about an assassin, and she's a really good assassin. And then there's a detective lady who isn't actually a detective lady, but she gets obsessed with catching this
So
assassin.
Sandra Oh basically gets like pushed up through like MI5, and she's like, "Oh, you can go after it." Yeah.
Yeah, and then there's this really interesting psychological dynamic between the two as they're kind of evading or getting close to each other, which is just enthralling to watch.
Created by Fleabag, Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Like, she's got a lot of stuff going on. She's just written part of the new Bond film as well. And Jodie Comer, who plays the assassin, she won the Emmy for best female lead. So she's excellent. Like, that's some of the scenes, and so like because it's gory, but it's also got a lot of heart and a lot of sort of psychology to it. Yeah, it's not gratuitous. Yeah,
no, and I love her character. So in it, she is French.
I think she's French. Yeah,
French?
yeah.
She's got a really thick accent, but through it, you find out that she actually is like a chameleon, and she, in real life, she's actually Welsh.
Yeah.
She's got a really strong like Irish Welsh.
Yeah, when I saw her,
accent.
I'd never seen her speak on her own, and when she was at the emails, I'm like, that's what she sounds like.
But she can do a perfect English, like British English. She can do this French one. She does a bit of like Italian and stuff in the show. And there is one scene where she does an Irish accent, and as soon as I heard it, I was like, oh, that's what she is.
Yeah.
Just honey, you need to.
I have to say the last episode of season 1 kind of puts a spin on, because you think you know what's going to happen, and then it doesn't, and then it's I was genuinely shocked. I was like, that's good. That's a good sort of little spin on it. So yeah.
Awesome. I'm definitely going to get on this because in my home, we've been having a lot of trouble replacing our series that finished. We binged a heap and just ran out of stuff to watch.
It's a constant struggle for
And
me.
it's 10 episodes a season. It's not a huge commitment.
No.
And I think a big part of it,
I feel so sorry for her husband, isn't it?
He's
husband.
a bit of a wanker.
He is, but I'm just like...
like you were saying, though, it's a lot easier to... I think it takes the choice away from you when you go, I'll watch a half-hour episode, rather than picking a movie that you're going to stick with for an hour and a half.
I won't watch a half-an-hour episode. I'll watch 10 hours of half-hour episodes. I will absolutely spend the whole day and night and morning watching all of the episodes. But, a 90-minute film, oh my God. It's just weird. But then, that being said, as soon as I put a film on and actually commit to it, I always see it through. Most of the time, unless I fall asleep.
Awesome. We'll get back into the music as we continue the guest choice special with Vendetta here on DVG. Don't forget you can join in the conversation. Jump on our Facebook, Dave's Video Graveyard at WOWFM. Dave's Video Graveyard, the Vendetta guest choice special. And right now we are talking a very underrated film from 2011. It is Super 8, written and directed by J.J. Abrams. This movie is so underrated, and I think that Stranger Things owes so many nods to this film.
Lots of films do, I think.
And I'm guessing the film nerd in you loves this movie.
Yeah, a little bit.
Because it's about a film nerd.
It's about little film nerds and kind of like making little movies together, and then something amazing happens, and it's just really cool. I don't know, like, I didn't love it because it's a bunch of little filmmakers. Like, I just thought the movie itself, like, the idea was pretty cool. I quite like the execution of the monster. Like, you don't really know what it is for quite a long time.
Yeah.
It's really inconspicuous and kind of hides, which I like.
Well, J.J. Abrams did actually say that was inspired by Spielberg because much like Bruce the Shark didn't work for Jaws.
Yeah.
And that created the less is more, much like the first Alien film where it's
Absolutely.
like, listen, it doesn't look quite like we wanted it to, so maybe if we don't show it as much, it's effective. This deliberately did that, and I think, unfortunately, the biggest issue with the film is the world was so disillusioned by Lost, and they blamed J.J. Abrams that when this film came out, they were like, nope, you upset us with the Nerd Island movie.
Yeah, fair enough. And to be honest, I didn't watch the last few seasons of Lost, so I didn't get that disappointment. I stopped when I saw it was going a bit weird, and I was like, there's a polar bear. I'm not going to go there.
Yeah.
Lost was a show where I was like, I love all these character actors. I don't love this show. I'm going to leave it where it is.
Yeah.
Lost for me was like one of the ones that really suffered from having too many episodes in one season. Like if they'd made that now, where it's more like 8 to 10 episodes per season, they could have wrapped it up and probably done more quality than quantity with that.
They needed less is more.
Yeah,
The start of the decade, though, television ran away from me. Like I felt like I watched a couple seasons of Prison Break, slept in one weekend, and suddenly there was 6 seasons that I had missed, and just like lost. And it's the speed of television now.
It was during a big boom, I think, and then it was kind of after that films kind of grew back up, and then streaming services were like, "Hey, you can watch this whenever you want. You don't have to be home on Thursday night on 9 p.m. to watch and not miss out on it." You know,
and it's sad watching network still not coming to that conclusion.
Yeah,
like it's just like, how can you not see the road ahead of you? Like you need to start adapting.
Outside of your work, when is the last time you opened a DVD and put it into a player?
Do you count pole dancing DVDs?
No.
Exactly.
Actually,
I have to change my answer if you do.
Actually, take it back. I watched Dunkirk on Blu-ray recently.
That would look pretty good.
Yeah, it was great, and it just happened to be because one of my friends was like a festival selector, and so they get all the Blu-rays before.
Oh, nice.
And she was like, "Hey, do you want all of these? You can't give them to anybody."
Are you like cool. a quality snob?
No.
Like same with me. Like a lot of my friends like I'll watch it. We still got VHS and stuff like that. I'll watch it on any medium sort of thing. But like, I mean, I used to work in a store that sold 4K, and these people were coming in
Ketamine?
buying. Actually,
yeah.
I'll say people.
We're down in Largs Bay, guys.
When I say people kept buying 4K, men between 40 and 60 are coming in and buying because they're the only ones that are buying it. And it's like, they had to buy a special player for it. And I'm like, well, what's the end game here? Like, do you really need that much quality?
I don't like seeing people's pores.
Yeah, I need the gloss. I need that gloss of like Vaseline they put on the lens for like 80s.
I want the beauty filter, please.
The first movie I ever saw, exactly. The first movie I ever saw in just Blu-ray was, the Mark Wahlberg film Four Brothers from the director of Boys in the Hood, that film. I watched it, I'm like, why is this lit like a TV show? Like it looked like it was on the set of Scrubs for some reason. It was like, why can I see the window behind his head has a crack in the top corner? And I was like...
It's super distracting.
And then I put on like Halloween 2 on VHS and I'm like, there's got to be a middle ground. This is lit with a torch.
I saw Predator released on Blu-ray because it was one of the first ones that was released on... And then that's when they're like, maybe we shouldn't do stuff in high definition because the Predator does not look good in HD. You could tell that was a man in a suit.
Oh, no.
I watched a Blu-ray copy last night of Earth Girls Are Easy. Don't do that. Great film, however.
Really?
But I have a question. How easy are Earth Girls?
Very easy, particularly when they're Gina Davis in the 80s, 1988. That movie is something different.
Please don't do it for the pod. I don't want to do it for the pod.
As
soon as I saw your status, I was like, I bet he comes. It's like,
Damon Wayans, Jeff Goldblum, Jim Carrey. It's a great
film.
film.
Sounds great.
It is. It's fantastic.
It's one of those things. It's like it sounds great,
but can you see their pores?
I see Jim Carrey's pores.
No. But you can see every time they've sped up the footage to make them have super...
I don't like that. That's...
As an editor, particularly with the cutting edge technology you have now, have you lost appreciation for the likes of like Evil Dead and early Sam Raimi films where it was all in camera in the sense that we can't do it any other way?
Yeah. I think I really appreciate when like, I think we're it's really interesting reading editing books because you do get to read from like the
That
elders.
sentence has never been said ever.
Well, you haven't spoken to the right people. But like reading people who have written books, so they're old enough that they have edited.
Is that how you say it?
Film. Books, paper, manuscript. Quills.
The movie words. I know those ones.
That's a good one.
But it's gone from an era where you had to be really frugal about what you filmed and getting the shots and making sure if you can get an edit in the footage, like that saves you footage, it saves the cutting room and everything, to an era where it's like more and more and more you can shoot as much as you want. It doesn't actually cost any more.
It becomes disposable. And
absolutely.
I recently listened to a podcast with Kevin Smith talking about making the film Clerks. And they had a night where they spent like 4 hours with a magnifying glass and a torch crawling around the floor of the editing room, cutting off unused things.
Yeah.
Because at the time, because there's an 11-minute take in Clerks, and the reason it's 11 minutes with no cut is because at the time that was the longest of what they could afford. Yep. And it was just amazing to know they're like, oh, you've got to do this in 2 takes. And they're like, why? Because that is all we can physically afford of the thing. Whereas now it's like, delete.
I mean, the stuff I'm working on at the moment, it's got 17 takes of stuff. And I'm like, oh, there's a lot of this. It's great. I mean, it's great because you have so many options. And if they do it wrong, you can just do it over and over and over again. It's great. But I think you lose in the edit room that you're looking for that, like, it's a special little thing, whereas now you can just kind of sift through and just pick the best one.
It must be so hard to not flick on the part of your brain that just wants to get the job done.
Yeah.
Because say
tricky.
you're watching 10 of the exact same take.
Yeah.
Where like, oh, a bird flies across in the background of that one. That's the only difference in the shot. You'd be like, oh, that one will do. It's got a bird in it.
It's tricky. So like one of my jobs, and when I first started doing, so as an assistant editor, you assist the editor. You essentially make lots of folders and bins and organize the footage by the right numbers and dates. You're like just organizing all the footage that the editors had to go through hours and hours and hours and hours of like folders. And so one of the jobs I also do is like line by lines. So I will go through and for the scene, every single shot, take every single part of that scene, I will cut up by the line. So every single line that I say, hey, how you going today? I'll put that all on a line. So I'll be like, hey, 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 every different angle, every different way that they said it. And then the next line of your response.
Wow.
And that is like a big part of my day is making for every scene of the film line by line.
So
you can just play and listen to or see every bird and how the bird went past.
That sounds horrifying.
And it's
so
tedious,
your nightmare would be working on a Judd Apatow film where it's pretty much line-a-rama of all.
Essentially. But I mean, you get pretty quick at it. And where it does get tricky is when you have like cool actors that do ad-lib lines. And then you're like, well, oh God, every line is different. Where do I put this one?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, and that's Judd Apatow's famous for working only like that, particularly when it comes to like
and that can drive an editor insane.
I bet.
Never worked for Fincher. Apparently, Fincher's like 30 takes. Yeah, because Downey Jr. was like, he's apparently like a 1-2 take guy. Then he did Zodiac, and he's just like, he's lost his mind.
There's a happy medium.
Yeah.
And finding that, and it's always the shots that you don't need, you got 20 of them, and the shots that you really need, you got like one go.
Yeah.
And
speaking of Fincher, Brad Pitt actually credits him for getting him out of. Brad Pitt loved to lean on eating in a take. Like that was his favorite thing. He said Fincher helped that habit very strong because you're not eating one apple, you're eating 6 apples just for that like 30-second take. Because like, do it again, new apple. Do it again, new apple. Yep. And he quickly stopped doing that.
Except for Ocean's 11 where he's like eating the entire movie.
Well, even Fight Club he eats pretty much.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Now, speaking of editing done. We'll just say editing done. 1979, the film that changed the Australian film industry Mad Max. Why did you pick this film?
So, also when I say Mad Max, I mean all Mad Maxes. So not just the 1979 one, also like the 2000 and something one. But it's just sick. That's about all I got to say about that. The first one, I mean, that was revolutionary for its time, but also it still looks sick now. Like, and it's old and weird, and they're just kind of running around the desert in leather jackets. But those cars are amazing. Like,
The strength.
the whole idea of it is amazing.
I don't think, like, revisiting Mad Max, it is it's filled with so many amazing ideas from George Miller that not necessarily the best execution of those ideas, but the fact that they were first, because
And they did it.
how many amazing movies, particularly like Death Proof, and a lot of Rodriguez's films, including Machete Kills, I believe it's in, the scene where it shows the car speeding towards the camera and then the close-up of the eyes of the driver, which is from Mad
Didn't
Max.
happen
That's
before
used
that.
in everything now.
It's sick. And I think, it's just, I saw this film, way after it came out, and I was hooked. I think I was like 16 or 17, and I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is so cool. And then I watched the second one, and there's,
Post-apocalyptic.
it's the Thunderdome.
Oh, no, that's the third one.
Oh, shit. Well,
Well, you just get kicked out.
Well,
They're all pretty much the same.
I do think I watched them all in like one day.
That's fine.
And so it all blended into one. But I just loved it. And then when they made the new one, I was like, right there. And that's one of those films I could just watch over and over and over again. I've made a pole dancing routine about it that I did twice. And just that whole genre inspires a lot of like my inner feelings. It's my inner demons.
You need to keep working on that routine until you get one of those kids ride on cars with the pole mounted on top of it, driving in a circle on stage while you do your routine on the pole.
I think I actually had a car door on stage when I did that. When I told the whole competition, hey, like, can I bring a car door? And they're like, oh, like a cardboard one. I was like, no, I've gutted a car door. It's like 60 kilos. Like, she's like, can you get it on and off stage in under 2 minutes? I was like, yeah. She's like, well, that's fine. And then I used it in 2 competitions, and I became known as like the car door lady.
Please tell me they weren't. Please tell me they were interstate competitions.
No, unfortunately.
Because what I would give to see you with a car door under your arm trying to check.
But I absolutely would. I drive it somewhere, but I don't have it at the moment. Lent it. Apparently, when you have a car door that has like steps and it's a prop, people will use that. I was like, yeah, you can have this for a bit. It's really quite cumbersome in my backyard.
So someone has you saved in their phone as the
car door lady. Crazy car door lady, yeah. That's me. My dad's got me saved for it in his phone, like Veronica, the girl who keeps making me make stupid props for her. What does she want next?
Awesome. It is 100.5 WOWFM, eating on air with Vendetta. You going to pretend you're not eating?
This is ASMR.
ASMR is
of a pole dancer.
One of my
eating skills.
biggest issues in life.
He's got a real...
So you really like it, or you really don't like it?
If I'm listening to a podcast and someone on it's eating or drinking, I want to fight them in real life.
Fight me. Do it.
What's your shirt say?
Sorry. I don't know if I can say that on...
Trainspotting's a film from 1996.
Your next choice.
You bunch of weirdos.
Trainspotting. Do you like hard house music or heroin? Discuss.
Why not both?
This movie follows I believe it's set in Edinburgh, the drug culture and club culture of the 1990s. I believe it was Danny Boyle's first film, which he went on to do 28 Days Later and a heap of amazing films. Mm-hmm. And this movie made me terrified of Robert Carlyle. Why did you pick this film?
I just thought it was really cool. So, I mean, this was probably my first film that I watched when I was like younger, and I was like, oh my god, drugs are a thing. Oh, that's so
quite a lot of drugs.
I grew up as I'm like a grade straight A goody two shoes student until like year 10 or 11, and
till it mattered.
Till it really mattered, yeah. When fun things happen in your life, and I think I saw this film and I was like, wow, like there's a whole other world out there that I have no idea about, and there's just, I mean, there's the kind of cliche quote at the start, and everyone, it's on bathroom walls and posters everywhere and stuff. but I really enjoyed how that kind of pushed you into the film, and then following these stories, and I felt like it was real, like not like in a crazy documentary way, but it really did open my eyes up to like what people in other side of the world are doing before.
We've all known people like this.
You know?
Seeing this movie for the first time when I was in primary school, because this is one of those be naughty and tape it on my VCR and then watch it in the morning before school, because a lot of my friends were actually allowed to stay up and watch whatever was on.
Lucky.
So not to get left out, I was like, I'll just skip through and pretend I stayed up and watched it, because my parents wouldn't let me. And it was so funny because I didn't get the whole way through. But I get there with my version of what Trainspotting was, and everyone else was like, oh, that baby bit. And I'm like, the poo blanket bit, everyone. Huh? How's this movie? That movie was great. How good is this poo movie? The poo blanket movie.
Honey.
And they're like, you didn't watch all of it? Yes, I did. I watched all of it. I'm like, what happened? It was a poo blanket. And
I mean, that was a thing. But yeah, and then, I mean, obviously I'm in love with Ewan McGregor. He's gorgeous.
as you should be.
Yes. So that really firmly pushed him into my brain.
Because I remember when this got released, the big push behind it was the soundtrack to it. Because at the time it was all contemporary artists, and like they'd got the
Underworld. Was it Born Slippy was from
Born
this,
Slippy from and also like the first track from Iggy Pop, that Lust for Life, got rejigged for it and stuff like that. So
that made it back into the charts because of this film.
This soundtrack is probably, I like the soundtrack probably more than I like the film, because like it's just sort of opened me up to like a lot of the British stuff that was going on at the time, especially stuff in like Edinburgh. So that's why I always I can't think of this film without thinking of the music. So
absolutely, you would definitely like the second one.
I do. Yeah, I've seen it. Yeah,
cool.
Yeah, it's really cool, and it's like it's one of those ones that did sort of keep, like, it wasn't probably that necessary, but like I don't mind that it happened. Like it was like they kept it going, and you did want to. I did want to know what happened to
I
him.
felt nostalgic about it.
Yeah,
it actually legitimately made me feel I've come home.
I was just glad to see Spud again. So.
Yeah, exactly. I get to feel the feels again, and you get really connected to all of those characters. So even though some of them are absolute butt pirates, and, not great to each other and not great to anybody, you feel so sad and sorry for them, and like you want them to succeed, even though you know they're probably not going to succeed.
Are there any blankets in the second one?
Any poop blankets? No,
yeah.
there's none.
Oh, man. My favourite character's not back.
And I think this as well was one of the films that really got me into like British films, like Lock, Stock and Snatch and $100 Million Baby, like all those kind of things. I'm just like,
there's like, and this is like part, like also because like a lot of British films that stage was really bleak. Like if I saw one coming in the beer store, I'm like, oh, this looks pretty good. Oh, it's from the UK. I'm gonna get a comedy to have after that because it's gonna be awful. Very good choice. I don't think we've had that picked that many times too. So
no, I think the only time we've talked about it was on the podcast when we were talking about Hackers, because somehow Johnny Lee Miller went from Hackers to this film, undeservedly so, and our 1996 special.
That's right, yeah.
Your next choice is an entire franchise. This is where you got quite vague when it came to your choices. Mm-hmm. You have chosen, beginning in 2004, the Saw franchise. Why did you pick this franchise? Is it because of your buddy? Because of your friends?
No, I don't have any friends.
No?
Just like you.
Keep eating in the microphone and I can see why.
No, Saw is just it's like another one of those films that really, when it first came out and the whole franchise that came from it, it really brought kind of gore to the front from being like, this kind of indie. Like the horror genre was always quite indie, and it started kind of moving more into the mainstream. And since James Wan kind of started that, he's brought the horror genre, I think, really like high up in quality and quantity, and people want to go and see horrors now.
Point counterpoint though, for everything good that he did do, so James Wan and Lee Wan, everything they did fantastically with horror and particularly gore in horror movies was then ruined around 2007, 2009. Eli Roth.
Oh,
what
honey,
do you think of Eli Roth?
I love Eli Roth.
Why?
Because he's gorgeous. I have a hostel tattoo. Like, you're talking to the wrong person if you want to bash on Eli Roth.
My goodness. I did not pick this battle, but I will die on this hill.
I am also happy to admit that he makes some pretty bad films.
Green Inferno is the last movie that truly upset me.
I haven't seen Green Inferno.
It's so gross. It is pretty much just Cannibal Holocaust redone.
I'm down.
You would love it. You have a hostel tattoo.
I like really good films, but I also love terrible films. I'll probably be more down to watch a terrible 2-hour film than like a really good 2-hour film because like I don't have to put.
We
as
definitely
much
have different ideas of terrible though. Like I like terrible films as in like I really love watching Space Jam all the time. Like.
No, but that's not a terrible film. That's just a hilarious film. Like that.
I love Double Team and Double Impact with Van Damme.
Is he talking about porn again? I just can't tell.
It's the line's very blurred.
50-50, flip a coin. Wow,
you still get Van Damme.
You have a hostel tattoo.
Yeah,
that's upsetting.
So it's not so.
Did you have to, if you had to pick a Saw movie?
The third one.
The third one?
Yes.
Wow.
I think. I have to. I mean, it's been
because we had last week we had someone on that chose number 2 with the Needle Pit, and that triggered me. Something remembering the Needle Pit, and I didn't like it.
Princess Bride in a toilet block.
Yes. Yep. I can see that.
Needle Pit.
Yep.
Danny Glover, or is he the first?
Donnie Wahlberg's.
Donnie Wahlberg's the second one.
Oh, is it?
Because it's the safe as well. Third one is James Remar as the detective.
Yeah. It starts getting real.
Fourth one is the pendulum one where someone's copycatting and you can't get out of the traps.
I haven't seen anything up to 3. Hey.
You're just
Fifth one is everyone could have survived if they worked together.
Yeah, well, I don't want a happy ending.
And then we start flashing back and having people from other films really. And then Jigsaw comes along and upsets me because I watched it wrong.
It's kind of like with Final Destination. Like Final Destination got a bit murky there. I was like, I can remember like there's one with the roller coaster. There's one like on the freeway. Yeah, but I'm like, it could be 4 or 5. As much as it's sillier and a little bit more fun, I prefer Saw over Final Destination just from a practical effects standpoint because CGI blood is so upsetting. Like the first Machete movie was fantastic. The second one was terrible because it was all CGI gore. Yeah.
Even though it had Mad Mel in it. Are you quietly opening a lolly at all?
I'm trying to, but I'm not very good at it.
You're nailing it. Literally, and
we also found out today that Redskins are the worst radio-friendly lolly.
Well, see, I've actually got a different technique. I've been thinking about this for a while. I think I'm just going to, like, lick it, like, long and deep.
Okay.
But not just trying to, like, he just tried to shove the whole thing in his mouth and it got stuck in there. I think that's where you had a fatal error.
It wasn't. No errors were made, but I do now have a square, like, Adam's apple.
You look like
it's just like
it's gone down to your stomach, and you look like the guy in Dark Knight that's got the phone in his belly.
That's awesome.
The bastard make it go away.
Where is your brain tonight?
I would say Saw is way better than Final Destination. Just add that in. I wanted to.
Yeah, no, that's fine. You're allowed to have an opinion. This is your show this evening.
Well,
Vendetta's Video Graveyard.
Said you wanted to fight me before, so.
Yeah, well, now I know you have a hostel tattoo. I know that it won't end well because you'll get creepy and gross about it.
Not just about that, honey.
I'm a passive-aggressive type, so I'm not a fighter.
I'll fight you down.
I'm a Cancer, so I'll just never let it go, ever, ever, ever. I'll be at your funeral just to win.
Just as a grudge match.
Yeah.
It'll be great.
Here, I've been asked to move the coffin. That's where it would end up.
Kick it around down to the hole. Be great.
I'm donating it to the Museum of Eli Roth.
Oh my God, would you please? That would be amazing.
If
you could invite him, it'd be like the greatest honor. He's gorgeous.
The only time I think
he'd be busy?
He's the Bear Jew.
The only time do you know who the original cast actor was for the Bear Jew?
No one could be as dreamy, so who cares?
This is not just made up trivia. Adam Sandler was written for that character. That character was written for Adam Sandler.
Well, they didn't want to ruin the movie, obviously. So they put someone amazing in instead.
Yeah. I'm not seeing it in any... Okay. All right, I'll just
Go
let
back
it go.
and watch Hostel, the first one. Don't watch the second one or the third one. Definitely don't watch the third one.
Is there a third one?
Yeah, don't do it.
Oh.
You'll be sad.
Truth be told, the only reason I saw it was because the Quentin Tarantino Presents written at the top of the DVD at the time.
I will say
that got me so many times.
I will say that Cabin Fever was very good for its time.
That or the remake from Eli Roth.
Nah,
The
definitely the
remake's
original.
great.
I've never seen the
first
remake.
one's great
Is
too.
it shot for shot?
Yeah, almost. Yeah, I think
It's
so.
the same director.
I'm pretty sure Eli Roth is in it. Maybe not.
Well, he's in the first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's the guy from the party.
It's Eli Roth talk here on DVG. As we continue to look through the choices of Vendetta, her favourite films to watch, not necessarily the best films ever.
Sorry, there's a lot of music in my head.
Is it really?
Yeah.
It should not be. Okay.
Maybe
Hopefully that fixed it.
No, there's still a lot of music in my head. Is it only in my head, though? Because if it is, I'll just ignore it. It's like dubstep. Now there's some laughing. Maybe it is just in my head. Am I plugged into a different station? Look, I'll go this way. That's better.
There we go.
That was really good.
There we go. I see
Hello,
what's
welcome
happening.
back.
Welcome to the glitch zone here on DVG.
Was it just my head, or?
It was. It's just you.
Oh, sorry, guys.
So we're talking about your favourite films of the moment.
Yep, bud.
Your next choice, to me, changed the face of horror for a good thing because it basically took credit for so much of it. We are talking about 2011's Cabin in the Woods. Why did you pick this film?
Well, there's many reasons.
Well, take us
there's
through
a whole
them.
cube. A big warehouse of cells of reasons, really. I just thought I had seen the original and it was okay. And then this one was coming out and I was like, yeah, okay, I'll have a look at that. And it was just like entertaining from the get-go. Like it was quirky, it was funny, it was a bit silly. I really enjoy horror films or, scary films that don't take themselves too seriously and are really kind of just funny in little bits and pieces. I think that just adds a whole nother... Are you okay there? whole nother element. So I like to have a little giggle. And the fact that it brings in so many different kinds of monsters and themes and creatures and you get to see them all.
I just love that it basically takes credit for so many other films because
Yeah.
the storyline of this movie, for anyone that hasn't seen it, essentially a government agency create all these horror film scenarios to appease the elder gods. And each year they have to sacrifice 5 archetypes of horror films. And yeah, it's just done so well.
I think it was like the one runner-up to Scream for that meta horror sort of humor. Like it's like we're sort of turning on its ear, and it's like it's got a really good sort of like it ends a bit soft for me, but I like the ride. It's really good, and they should have made more of them.
Name another film where a unicorn and a merman kill somebody. The thing I loved about this film, it had a lot of production problems, as many films do. It got shelved after it was completed, and then the worth of Chris Hemsworth went up and up and up with the Marvel MCU, and pretty much he was a household name at the time, and they're like, we're going to put him to the forward. And I love what happens to his character, particularly the fact that he was used to sell the film, and then it's like, this is what happens to him.
Surprise! I just really enjoyed watching it. It's one of those films where you can watch it and you don't have to pay heaps of attention. Like, it makes sense, kind of. It's really entertaining. Everyone who you want dies. You want to die, dies.
Any film where Eric from Billy Madison dies is a good film.
Oh.
Now, I have to say, and I'm going to get old man, okay,
have some
boomer to
rebuttal.
death. I have been watching him on The West Wing, and he is delightful. That show, I don't know why, it's got some sort of hold over me, but I just keep watching it, and it gets better and better, and he is amazing in it.
I just can't get into it because you have to get your newspaper off the front lawn in your slippers and your dressing gown before you watch. Oh, you also have to water the lawn before the sun comes up.
My lawn is watered before I watch The West Wing.
Man, that is... Paul has an issue. Well, not an issue. Paul has a
Many
character
issues.
flaw.
Is it a flaw though?
Well, that's exactly his answer. I do not like how similar you two are. in
Let's see.
personality.
Give it to me. I'll be the judge. What is the situation?
Paul loves movies that dads would love in the 1990s. Like, that's his wheelhouse. The Clint Eastwoods, the Fugitives, the pretty much anything Tom Clancy
middle
touched.
age quite gracefully.
Do
I
you tell
like
dad jokes yet?
always.
Only in the last 2 months have I started wearing the not accepting aging. Like, I've always dressed like a dickwit, but I've only just started wearing flat caps.
Right.
And I'm seeing other dads at events, and I'm like,
Is that a thing?
it is.
I'm
You
not
make a
a
choice.
cap
You make a choice after you're
person.
35.
You either
and
get
male.
the golf punk rock hat,
Yeah.
or you get the flat cap because you won't accept that you're in your late 30s.
And we're already doing podcasting, which is another over 35 male thing to do. So,
And I only have a beard because I'm ugly as shit without it.
I've been recently, this year's the first time I've noticed the grey hair coming in. So I'm just like, you know what? It's time to West Wing it up. my body is saying, Paul, slow down. You don't want anything too shocking on the
Have you got
TV.
the slip-on slippers that just cover the toes and
No,
not your
but
heel?
That's what I was picturing for the West Wing.
Yeah.
I actively went
Super.
out and looked for a easy chair on the weekend. That is
Wait,
like
what's
a
an easy
single,
chair?
not a
Aren't
couch.
old chairs pretty
Yeah,
easy?
not a couch that I can sit next to someone else with. A
Don't you
chair
ever-
just for me
Don't
that
you
I
have
can
any
sit.
difficult chairs at your house?
Sorry. No. A
Like
chair
a-
just-
like a- like
so
a-
like you're sitting in now. A chair.
No, like a comfy chair, like
For
a
those listening,
a
we're not
recliner,
sharing a chair.
a recliner.
Recliner.
But it's just for me. It's not. I'm not getting one for me and my wife or me and the kids. It's just a chair for me.
Will
and
the dog be allowed on it? Or the cat?
I haven't got pets.
I'm not quite old enough yet. I'll sit at any chair.
But
I'll
no,
sit
if
at
that
any
was
chair
Is
at
it
our
in a
kitchen
difficult
table.
chair?
Doesn't matter. No, but as in, I don't have my spot, which is
Ah.
a very dad thing.
I'm trying to.
I have a spot.
I'm trying to get my.
What's your spot?
My spot is on the left-hand end of the couch. We have a big, long 8-person chair. Anyone can sit on it at the same time. Sorry.
Or 16 small people.
Well, I also take up 3 spots, so I have my area, I would say.
So okay, yeah. See, I need the corner of the couch. I'll have the corner, but then that means I'm gonna have people on both sides of me. I'm just like, oh.
You get all kinds of
People, yeah.
infections and germs.
Yeah, that's
Get your easy single person.
Oh,
touch
I'm
me
looking.
chair.
Don't worry.
You'd have to some fly spray just to swat anyone
Yeah,
away
yeah,
while you're
yeah.
in it.
I'm trying to train the kids with the water spray. Just
Yeah. Or you can get a cattle prod.
Look,
Hey,
we're
No,
spitballing
don't
here,
think
and I'm
like that.
liking this.
Oh,
it's
sorry.
just a prod.
Oh.
It's not just for cattle.
Yeah,
Sorry, it's 2019, guys.
Society prod.
It's prod fluid, thank you,
Yes.
in 2019.
Yes.
Speaking of fluids, Swiss Army Man from 2016. This is a film that sounds like a fever dream. If Harry Potter was ever going to prove that he wasn't Harry Potter, this is the film that does it. But in saying that,
best film.
between this and Horns, he proved to me that he is one of the most versatile actors
Did like
getting around.
Horns.
Tell us about Swiss Army Man.
Well, Radcliffe's claim to fame, and by far my favourite role that he's done, pretty much Mr. Radcliffe is a dead body, and he washes up on a beach, and on the beach there's this poor man who's desolate. It's pretty much
Castaway.
It's Castaway, but Daniel Radcliffe is the ball. And this guy on the island finds Daniel Radcliffe and tries to make him his friend because he's the only kind of source of human interaction, I guess, that he's got. And the whole movie is about making friends with a corpse, but through the common theme of pop-offs.
Pop-offs.
I think. Is that the technical radio-friendly term? As Daniel's body decomposes, air escapes, and can be used for a majority of things. And so Swiss Army Man is kind of his term because he can use his body in a variety of ingenious ways.
What has happened since 920? Because you made that so proper, and before that moment, At no point did you curve anything that you had to say.
I haven't sworn yet, and I'm very proud
So,
of myself.
pop-offs of the line.
I
is
don't
that-
know. That's what my mum would call them. She was very, very proper, so...
I can't trust someone that doesn't find them funny.
Well, yeah.
They're robots
It
or
brings people
reptilians.
together. My
Exactly.
housemate apparently doesn't do them. But honey,
Robot.
she does. You just gotta squeeze her in the right places. Not in a weird way, just a...
Oh no, that's not weird.
It's a normal squeezing way.
Shout out to your housemate.
Sorry, Paris.
And I'm gonna spoiler alert-ish this, like, the ending of this film is like beautiful but disturbing. Like, it's just, you find out. So I gotta say, you find out that he's actually not that lost. He's just basically in the woods behind his house. Oh my lord, I love it so much.
It's
Sorry,
great. Heaps of people haven't seen it or heard of it, and when you try and tell them about it, they're like, "What?" And
It sounds like you're making it up, doesn't
it's
it?
absolutely ridiculous, but it's beautiful, and it's actually, as much as it's a ridiculous story, it sounds stupid, and it's like, whatever. I think it's actually really well done as well.
Oh, yeah.
Like the graphics, the CG,
that party has in the bus.
Oh,
I love it.
This film has heart and fart.
Yes,
It's
that
both ends
should be the
of the
tagline.
perfection
Paul
scale.
Dano is our generation's John Cusack. That's my take on him. I'm like, he'll be doing every one of his roles that he does. I'm like, John Cusack would have done that when he was
Nice. We are talking to Vendetta all about her favourite films to watch, and right now we've got into the section where we're talking about her favourite directors that aren't Eli Roth, and we're starting off with a very unknown director, started out in the 90s, Quentin Tarantino, is that
I
it?
think so. I'm not quite sure. I try and avoid his name, really.
And why have you picked this
Tarantino?
unknown director?
Well, I'm not sure if you've seen any of his films. Maybe you've been too busy watching Eli Roth films, but
Perhaps.
he does have a quite good bibliography. It is extensive and broad and full of gore, which is kind of
Filmography. Sorry, I sneezed.
It can be either.
I think biblio means written, but anyway. Continue.
You should look at my resume.
This is awkward. What is your
favorite?
favourite Tarantino film? If you had a gun to your head, what would it be?
See, it's really hard. I mean, I love the classics like Jackie Brown or like Reservoir Dogs. Or
Okay, I'll make it easier for you.
But
Pick a Kill Bill. 1 or 2.
probably one.
My search continues for someone who agrees with me that number 2 is better. Anyway.
I was going to go... Did you go to the screening on the weekend that I played both of them?
Did they?
Yeah.
No, I didn't see that.
With
no.
the producer. Q&A with the producer, Mr. Bennett.
I am
at the Mercury.
out of the loop.
I really wanted to go, but I had a different premiere happening on the same night. And
Oh, look at you.
Sorry,
I
guys.
had to be at a premiere too.
Yes. Watching something in your slippers.
I had a premiere of in
The
my
West
lounge room
Wing.
watching something on D+.
America's Most Wanted was calling.
I would say I reckon I really like Django. That would be a top one.
Okay.
I like really, really long films.
No one has ever
apparently.
given the correct answer, or the correct answer that is The Hateful Eight.
Yeah, sorry. I haven't... No, that's not my favorite.
Why can't we be besties?
Because that would be... we can be best friends, but like...
Best phrase?
Best friends?
Yeah, that's what I call my friends who I... not that keen for. No, but the variety is the spice of life. Like, if everyone said, "Oh, Inglourious Basterds is my favorite film," like, yeah, it's great, but everyone likes that film.
I know why you like that film, so don't even bring it up.
He's good.
It's because of Mike Myers.
Yeah. But I also really like Death Proof and his really weird ones that everyone's a bit like, oh, that's kind of weird.
Who's your favorite actor ever?
I don't have favorite actors. I'm sorry.
Who's yours, Dave?
Kurt Russell.
Oh, honey, have you got a crush on him?
Yep. 100%.
No, I don't really do favorite actors. I know it's really bad as a film person, but I'm one of those people who I don't have a favorite anything, really. I just like lots of things.
Continue my descent into middle age. I'm starting to have more of a list of actors I just don't like.
Yeah, I think actually that's probably it.
I'm just
like Adam Sandler.
Nah, done with him.
There's people I dislike, but ones I particularly love is really hard. Like,
yeah,
I've already touched on Ewan McGregor. He's my heart.
You'd love to touch on Ewan McGregor. I
Oh,
think now is a better time than ever, Paul, to do the quiz.
Oh, yes.
no, you're actually going to do a quiz?
Yep. No, you're going to do the quiz.
Is it like
It's
knowledge?
It's
very
subjective,
intense.
so I think you'll be okay.
That's fine then.
Okay, so
I had to know dates or anything.
so you prefer watching movies at home or at the cinema?
But
Oh
You
my
have to pick one.
This is gonna be fun.
sorry, I do prefer them in the cinema,
Yep.
but I like being on my couch where I can roll around because I get really uncomfortable in the cinema seats.
Do you crawl up into a blanket and eat pasta at the cinema?
No.
Okay, then.
Pasta?
He's saying
that's my new
he's
poll.
saying a reason that
That's
having it at home's better than.
Yeah, because like
Well,
one of our other guests
yeah.
says that she because Dave's got a problem with people eating in the cinema, which is going to be the next question. What's your food of choice at the cinema?
I don't eat in the cinema.
Really?
I have a drink. That's about it. No.
Not a full chicken?
No.
Shut up!
Not.
Wait, who had a full chicken in a cinema?
I went and saw Transformers 2. I tell this
You
story.
took
No.
the chicken.
I went and saw Transformers 2 at the cinemas, and someone had a hot Coles chicken in there. And Coles chicken is always one step away. You're like, is that the nicest food I've ever smelled, or is that a nappy full of diarrhea?
Yeah.
And I could not tell you 2 minutes of that film because I could not concentrate because this monster that had materialized was eating a Coles chicken with his hand in the row next to me. And
I'm so sorry.
oh, thank you.
If you could only pick one genre for the rest of your life to watch, would it be comedy, drama, horror, or action?
Or porn.
Can it be a like comedy
Nope.
porn?
Nope. Comedy porn?
Yeah.
No.
Like Dwayne's World.
Yeah, it could only be based on movies.
I probably, as much as like all my favorite films are kind of like horrors, I would probably actually watch comedies because I think
You'd
if
get
I
sick
had
of-
to watch it, like
Yeah.
that would be a better way of living.
You wouldn't lock yourself in as much, I think, picking comedy because it's way more broad than horror's kind of more thing. And you'd get to watch the likes of The Burbs and those horror comedies anyway.
Yeah.
That's
Arachnophobia would fall under comedy.
Which film deserves a sequel?
They didn't get it.
They didn't get
Cabin
one.
in the Woods.
Okay. I agree with
That's
that.
Got a
Second.
shot-for-shot remake.
No,
but a
yeah.
sequel, can you imagine?
Oh,
No,
sorry. I'm
Cabin in the
thinking
Woods.
Cabin Fever, my
Yeah.
bad.
Oh, yeah.
Your bad.
Who would play you in the biopic?
You know who I've always would love to play me?
Who?
Catherine Zeta-Jones. I know that we look nothing similar, but I think she's gorgeous. And I used to have long dark hair, so I'm kind of, you're younger, not
Oh yeah,
now.
look, alright, it's more.
I'm not
Have
that
you
old.
She's one of
encountered
those
lots of lasers in your lifetime?
Ooh, wouldn't you like to know?
She's one of those actresses where
Yes.
I've
Yes.
I've heard way too much about her on set and not being
Oh,
great.
I
I'm
forgot
like-
that I was in love with her until like 3 years ago watching, I don't want to admit it, but watching Rock of Ages.
Yeah.
And she plays the uptight, basically typical, like the church wife.
Yeah.
But then she goes wild halfway through and does a sexy dance. And I'm like, yes.
Yeah, that
And
should,
you're
she
like,
could be me.
I'm going to go find entrapment.
No. No entrapment. Dip below the lasers. I mix it up with the Susan Sarandon.
Thomas Crown Affair.
No. Yeah, that's the one.
That's Jean Rene Russo.
No, I don't. I never found her attractive because she ruined Lethal Weapon.
Yeah,
Girls can't be in Lethal Weapon.
She ruined Lethal Weapon.
No, girls can't.
Not the guy
Can't
that
bust ghosts.
Not the guy that got pulled over by
they
the
can't be
cops.
funny.
What was the last film to make you cry?
Oh, I don't really cry in movies. Sorry.
You're a monster.
Red
Which
Dog.
movie freaked you? What?
Red Dog.
Yeah.
Yeah, animal deaths.
I don't
But
really
it was
care.
like one tear. And I've tried to hold it back in. I was like, no.
And I'm the monster who doesn't like animals, so I'm just like, nah.
You don't like animals?
Yeah, not really.
What made you cry?
I
watch
watched
the-
Field of Dreams recently, and that made me cry again. So that's
I
what I
cried
do.
till snot came out of my nose watching The Boy in the Striped Pajamas.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I think a tear almost came out when I watched that. but I don't know.
But it wasn't a dog, so...
I'll cry more over, like, commercials. It's sad.
I put it to you that perhaps your housemate is turning you also into a robot. The housemate that doesn't find farts funny.
Oh, no, she'll cry over everything. She's
Okay.
very emotional. She has a pet turtle that she, like, gushes over. She's making it a jacket. Like...
I'm not sure they need that.
No.
That's what the shell's
Have
for.
you noticed they have a shell?
Yeah.
But no, it needs a jacket because it doesn't like being in the water because it's too cold, apparently. Sorry, parents. It's just ridiculous.
Not a water heater?
No. Sorry, she's making it a jacket so she can put little hand warmers in the jacket so it can be out of the water.
If she makes it a bandana to wear over its eyes, I'm on board.
Which name is Raphael, so...
If
the second best.
I'm not up on my biology, but what's coursing through its veins?
Cold blood.
Isn't it? No, isn't it?
Aren't they cold-blooded? It's a
I'm pretty
reptile.
sure they want-
It's a terrapin.
Isn't it an
Is it
Amphibian?
Which movie picked you as a child? Which movie scared you as a child?
Oh, E.T.
I thought it'd be
enough.
Charlie in the Chocolate Factory.
Oh, I wasn't allowed to watch that.
That was the
It's
devil's
psychedelic.
film.
It's a devil. Yeah, I wasn't. I remember I did see some of that and I was terrified. But no, I can't.
That was
watch
your
E.T.
childhood
now.
version of Train Spotting?
Yeah.
Because it was all the contraband.
Yeah. E.T. Absolutely. I don't like watching E.T. now. It looks like a fetus. It's not cute. Everyone's like, no. But this, I don't like the fingers touching.
If I
The frontage bit.
if I had a strongly no chocolate parent, I would let them watch Charlie and the Chocolate Factory up to a point and not let them see the ending. And it's like this is what happens when you enter chocolate. You go into a crazy man's factory and you die.
I find that film empowering because Augustus Gloop, he's doing it for us fat ginger kids. Him and Brucey Bogtrotter and the kid out of The Sandlot. Showing us that fat kids can be there.
I got, when I went to my first job, so there was a boy who worked at this job and he used to call me Veruca and I was like, why are you calling me Veruca? Like, I'm so confused. He's like, yeah, from the movie. And I was
You
like,
just stamp your foot and be
I got really upset as well about it. And then I found out why. I was like, oh.
Get me a job, Daddy.
Is it because you were demanding chocolates and nuts at the time?
No, never.
Well, you did say at your first job you spent all the money on chocolates and stuff. So.
Well, no, on strictly
Sorry,
gummy
not
worms.
chocolates. I was half listening.
Yes.
Which TV show or movie from your childhood should they reboot as a movie?
Oh. As in cartoons or any?
Anything.
Not TV.
Live
or
action.
Movie. Oh. I'm trying to think. There's nothing that I really miss. I think that there would be.
Yeah, I'll ask this, and I was
that's really hard.
it's actually hard to find something that hasn't been done.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You know, the only thing, and it might just because I wasn't allowed to watch it, maybe I just need to watch it, is I never got to watch Cat Dog.
You weren't allowed to watch Cat Dog?
No. So maybe I just need to go watch that, or maybe they need to make another one so I can watch it
Well,
as an adult.
they did Rocco, so Cat Dog wouldn't be too far away. So
Cat Dog's for young, cool kids.
I don't know, that's the only thing that I kind of missed out on, and everyone else got to see Cat
I said Captain
Cat Dog.
Planet because I'd actually think I can't believe they haven't remade that.
Oh my god, yes,
Yeah.
actually, I'm really down for it.
Did you ever see the Comedy or Die version
with
of Captain Planet with Don Cheadle? That was pretty amazing.
Oh my lord. If you could drive one, I knew what the answer's going to be this one. If you could drive one vehicle from a movie, what would it be?
Well, I mean, the car from Mad Max would be pretty
Yeah.
sick. Or actually the Batmobile from The Dark Knight.
The Tumbler.
The tank?
Yeah. The
You're
one that
insane.
That, flips
The only good
around.
thing about the 89 Burton movie was the Batmobile from that movie.
No, but I want the one that goes around.
And we changed, is it Stifler still, or is it someone else?
No,
now?
it's...
Oh.
If you could put your favourite fictional character
Yeah.
in another film,
Okay.
what would it be? Who would it be and what would it
Why
be?
don't you give these questions in advance?
We used to, but I just never get around to it.
Ah.
And it's cool. It's kind of just fun to make people squirm. It's good.
Favorite fictional character in another film?
So what's your favourite fictional character to start off with?
I don't know. See, that's just tricky.
Um,
What would be good in another film? That's
The
the real
Bear Jew.
question. Yeah, the Bear Jew. The Bear Jew in Swiss Army Man. Daniel Radcliffe rocks up and the Bear Jew's waiting for him. That would be sick. And then they had to become friends.
I don't know whether I'd trust Eli Roth to be on an island alone with a corpse.
That's why I want to see it.
It would be... He would get the most out of that corpse. Much like the point of that film.
Just quickly, because we're near the end, you also did pick a couple other directors. So Guillermo del Toro.
Yeah.
He's one of your favorites, director of Pan's Labyrinth, Devil's Backbone, Hellboy, Shape of Water, and soon to be Pinocchio.
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 It's a lesser known cousin.
I'm putting Peter Pan, my favorite fictional character, into Pinocchio.
I mean, essentially, it's the same thing. It's a boy doesn't want to grow up.
So why Del Toro? What rings a bell about him?
Del Toro, his production design. Before I was into editing, I was really interested in production design. All of his films are really beautifully made and like look stunning. They're not necessarily always the best storylines or like execution, but I think they look interesting. You can look
Blade
at
2 is a modern classic.
Well, okay.
As is Pacific Rim 1 and 2.
Everyone hates Pacific Rim, and I kind of like it.
Why? I love it.
I think it's great.
It's a kaiju movie.
I find it hard to watch. So I'm just like, I wasn't a big Mighty Morphin Power Rangers fan. So that's what it reminds me every time I see those things fight.
I always love a film where Jax thinks he's not Jax.
Yeah. I also read, like, apparently he's, like, there's no shot in a Del Toro film that he hasn't, like...
Messed with.
Well, not messed with, but, like, everything's there for a reason. And, like, apparently, like, the background of his is just filled with stuff that's, like, it probably doesn't mean anything to anyone else, but it means something to him, so...
I kind of feel like his films, you could watch it and have nothing happening in the foreground, like, the characters could be just not there.
Yeah.
And you could still have a really good time watching it, because it's just looking at all the stuff that's in it. Like, Pan's Labyrinth is just a visual masterpiece of just things to look at. I just like that.
Yeah.
Because I'm a child.
The Pretty Cry movie.
Yeah.
Looks pretty, makes you cry.
Yeah. It's terrifying.
Thanks so much for coming on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Where can people check you out on social media?
Probably the best, if you want to know about pole dancing, is if you look me up on Instagram. I'm Miss_Vendetta_heels, like the shoe. If you don't like pole dancing, just look me up on IMDb, I guess. It's Veronica Buhagiar, which is quite difficult.
A peek behind the curtain.
You can have a little look. No, it's fine. Yeah, I mean, I'm not anything special, big names yet, but I'm working on it.
But when she is, you heard it here first.
Yeah, I've got a few little voiceover cameos here and there that you haven't asked about, so that's fine.
Nice.
But yeah, like if you're interested in editing, I'm in SA. I'm kind of a pretty cool person to talk to, and I can help you out a little bit if I can try.
We'll just put the DVD asterisk on that statement.
Yep.
Yeah. Let's do something like that. But I don't know, like...
How large is the coattail that we can run?
When are you editing my face into Mortal Kombat?
Oh, I don't know. We'll see if you can get a blue suit with a hole just where your face is. That's what you'll need. If you can make that happen, I'll see if I can find a...
I'll show up looking like the Blue Man Group because I misread what you said. Is this what you wanted?
It'll be an Arrested Development moment.
Yeah, Tobias. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us and being so wrong about so many things.
Well,
it's always great to hear how the other half think.
It's okay. You had to live being a ranger, so...
That's my people's word. You cannot say that. And look, you've dyed your hair red. My culture is not your costume.
That's okay, Boomer.
That's him.
I didn't say anything.
He's been very polite next to me in his single-person OK Easy chair.
Yep.
Whatever.
Now, In the Line of Fire is going to start in 10 minutes. We've got to get going.
It is DVG.